We're gonna bring in some 60 frame a second 2K at 20 megabytes a second. It's Joel's internet show. Alright, so anyway, today on Joel's Gents, I was just watching some Wing Commander, and then I was also interested in this. This is a really cool old show where this dude's like a cop, and he's just like really clever, and he takes his time and asks a bunch of like basic questions, Watch this, this guy's funny.
I'm liable to Janice.
Are you sure?
Am I sure what?
You sounded as if you weren't sure who you were looking for.
Liable Janice, sure. Oh, yeah.
Well, this is his house.
No, I was just thinking about something else. Lieutenant Colombo, please.
I see, Lieutenant. Come in.
Milo's not here right now. He's down at the beach, running.
Running? Oh, sure. He must do a lot of that.
Anyway, that's just a really interesting show that I like. I wanted to kind of look a little bit further into Bitcoin today and kind of see exactly what's going on. When I was looking at the chart earlier, it looked like things were going up slightly, but really overall we've been in a sort of a steady curve, but things are maybe looking up for the short term anyway. You can always go to crypto.com, typed it in wrong, crypto.com, and check out stats. I mean, it's not a plug, it's just simple. It's that simple, It's not really complicated. Ooh, actually, Bitcoin's gone down today. It was at 56 earlier. Now it's at 55. But it's still kind of steady in between 50 and 60 over the past, ever since it, let me go back out to the year zone here. Ooh, ever since it hit 57 back in February 21st, and then it hit 61 over on March 13th, and, it's just kind of staying in that zone, somewhere in between 50 and 60 seems to be where we're at, and I feel like we're going to be there for a while. But, we'll see. No one thought that Bitcoin would ever get anywhere near this high, so, I mean, like, some people think it's going to just keep going up forever. Who knows, man? You just don't know. I mean, like, you put a little bit of money into it just in case. You maybe spread out across a few different cryptocurrencies, just, if you've got a little extra money to invest. But if not, I mean, don't bother. It just seems pretty stable lately, as far as the last couple months anyway, just kind of where it's expected. But we'll see when the next bull run is, That's all there is to it. Let me see. You can go to joelsjunts.com. Got my website up. And oh, wait, that didn't work. There we go. And I got my Bitcoin address on there if you want to send me any Bitcoins. So that's pretty tight. What else do we got going on? I also wanted to see what was going on with the Dow Jones and everything, because that's always cool, right? No, but it is interesting to think about what's going on. The Dow Jones is a corporation, so that's important to remember. It's a company. I'm gonna just check maybe the Google graph. Would be good. There we go. Wow. And I remember. Let me back out like to the max. All right, this is 1990, and then this is 2021 here. I remember when it right before it hit 20,000. So it was back right before the 2016 election. And I was like, there's no way it's going to hit. You know, if it's 20,000, we're screwed, right? And then it just kept going up. And then there was a little crash because of the pandemic. And then now we're back up at 33. I mean, can it just keep going up forever? Is it just going to, you know, is that how it works? It goes up, it crashes a little bit, and then it just keeps going up forever? Where does it end? Does it ever end? I don't know. I really don't. I couldn't tell you. Really couldn't. Really just couldn't. Let me see here. Go back to YouTube. Let's see what else is going on.
A timeline of 5 months on this study. Do you think 5 months is when we might be able to start removing that mask?
Well, you know, removing the mask is really going to depend on what the level of infection in the community is. If the vaccine rollout goes well and a lot less people on a daily basis get infected, then the likelihood of being able to pull back on mask wearing. I don't want to go there and say it'll be at this date because we don't know. Right now, the one thing I do know is that we have between 50 and 60,000 new infections a day. When you're at that level, you still got to wear a mask.
Dr. Anthony Fauci, thank you so much for your time this morning. We do appreciate it.
Well, hey there, GMA fans.
Hello wonderful person, this is Anton, and what you've seen right here is the world's first video of what's known as a time crystal. Now it's a complex topic, but we're going to dissect exactly what it means, and this video will hopefully help you understand the significance of this discovery and this particular study that's found in the description below. First of all, what exactly is a time crystal? Well, it's a crystal in time, but okay, that definitely doesn't explain anything. Let's start with crystals. You might already know what crystals are, but just in case you didn't, it's essentially different types of materials that form very specific geometric shapes based on the underlying structure. Such as this crystal right here known as galena, or the more famous example right here known as quartz. And the formation of these geometric structures is essentially related to the underlying atomic structure of the material in question as it solidifies and forms this solid structure. And so, for example, let's just say we wanted to take a look at the molecules of the galena crystals. The structure here would look something like this. And as the structure grows and becomes larger and larger, the octahedral geometry starts forming these relatively large cube-like formations and sometimes octahedrons, formed because all of the molecules on the inside have exactly the same structure as well. Quartz, on the other hand, has a different molecular structure, and thus results in a more hexagonal shape. And that's essentially how all of these crystals grow in a nutshell. As something solidifies and as the molecular structure stays constant, they grow into these large shapes, turning into large geometric objects, like this really cool halite crystal that's around 16 centimeters in diameter. And on the inside, it kind of looks like this. And if you want to check out more of these images and also find out more about the crystals, you can find the link in the description. And so a lot of things out there become crystals. Things like water becomes ice crystal. We also have sand that becomes a crystal. Even your DNA and even sugar and salt become crystals. And we of course also have something known as liquid crystals that are often used in LCDs. So today crystals are used in a lot of different ways, and we kind of depend on them both technologically and in terms of just regular life. Although interestingly, by definition, to create a crystal, the symmetry has to end at some point. So without ending the symmetry, you don't really have the crystal. But anyway, semantics aside, let's get to the topic at hand. Roughly around 9 years ago, back in 2012, the very famous physicist, who you might have already heard about from a previous video, Frank Wilczek, who also won a Nobel Prize in Physics, made a theoretical proposition that, hypothetically speaking, we should also be able to have what's known as a time crystal. So a material that's not just symmetric in space, but is also symmetric in time. Both in space and in time. It's a space-time crystal. And his proposition made a lot of sense, but nobody really knew how to approach it. Although within just a few years, in 2016, the first time crystal was discovered, although it involved some really crazy particles and a lot of spinning ions, and it wasn't really what you would call a symmetrical material in space. It was a time crystal though. But this time around, the actual creation was a lot different and way more impressive. As a matter of fact, let's actually just watch this video one more time. Because what you're looking at here is literally the first ever video of an actual space-time crystal. It's a material that's both symmetric in space and in time. And you can kind of see it coming back in time to exactly the same structure after a certain period. And that's something that we've actually never seen before, and something that was never created anywhere in the world. Which means that it took about 9 years to go from a physical hypothesis to literally creating this in a lab. And that's quite impressive. And to create this, the scientists had to use an extremely tiny micrometer-sized perma-alloy, which is basically a mixture of nickel and iron, and then blast this with a tremendous amount of microwave radiation. And this resulted in the creation of what they refer to as magnons. Magnons are basically kind of like pseudoparticles or
Nickel's always like an interesting element to use in an alloy.
Something like this. It's a flock of birds that forms a shape. But this is a quasi-shape or a quasi-particle in this case. It's formed by individual birds, but the actual shape itself doesn't really exist. And this is an example of what magnon would be in physics. And what we're actually observing here is a kind of a recurring periodic magnetic structure inside the crystal that then remagnetizes once in a while.
It looks like a waveform, you know? Like I wonder if you could make that kind of sound that was synchronous.
And so in this case, what we're looking at is essentially a recurrent structure. It's a structure that sort of moves around a lot and then comes back to the original position after a specific time.
It oscillates.
But just like with a lot of similar ideas, kind of like Einstein back in the 1920s, Wilczek also predicted this to be very hypothetical and probably not really real. He didn't think it existed in nature or could be created. Einstein, likewise, also did not believe black holes were real. But now we know that both seem to exist and both are possible. And that's actually the mind-blowing part. It's the idea that someone had in their mind that was later created in a lab. And what makes this even more groundbreaking is the fact that this is at room temperature. These are not exotic components. These are not elements that are like near absolute zero. This is just regular metal stuff at the regular room temperature, which is actually really exciting because one day we'll definitely find a way to use this somewhere in the lab in some way or another. And one of the implications from this study already is that we could potentially use this in quantum computing. Because time crystals obviously allow us to predict what's going to happen in a specific period of time, we can use them to predict quantum effects. And a lot of quantum interaction by using qubits, for example, is actually easily achieved through the use of these magnons. Obviously, this is not a concept I'm going to be able to explain in this video, but you can also maybe check out some of the previous quantum computing videos I made that do actually go into this in some more detail. There should be some videos popping up above me. And because by nature these...
Yeah, sometime we're gonna have to figure that out, you know? That sounds really interesting. What else do we got going on in here? Michael Kitten came up with Batman's best line. White House COVID response team. No, thank you. Season 3 of The Boys coming out. Never watched it, but I heard it was pretty good. Let me see here. The congratulations guy came back. He said he was never a pedophile, but he just had sex with a lot of women on the road or something, and he was ashamed of that, or I don't know. That's what he said anyway. I'm not his judge or jury, but now he's been back, and he was one of my favorite podcasters until the whole scandal. You know, then it was like everybody was like shocked, like, oh my goodness. You know, but nah. Either way, he's back, and he's just going harder than ever. I wanted to watch this video.
Today is what crypto will you never sell? Let me know in the comment section down below, and by doing that, you're also automatically entering yourself into our 250 XRP giveaway, for which all you have to do don't get it. The boat doesn't look that stuck. I just thought it was pretty damn funny. You know, my boat is sitting right there. Yep. Having said that, XRP price prediction. Analyst predicts XRP to rally 8 times post this key resistance breach. I've covered these types of articles very often. They're often from these analysts over on Twitter, in this case, Credible Crypto, who is credible when it comes to having a lot of different views on crypto. Not so credible and always having the exact same opinion. He is, however, pretty damn bullish most of the time. Having said that, XRP price is currently trading at about 55 cents with a 3% rise over the 24 hours, eyeing the breach of the key resistance of 56 cents. The 7th largest crypto, which is really interesting for me to say, because I used to always say 3rd largest crypto, all of a sudden 7th? That is so odd. Fun fact, XRP was actually 2nd for a pretty good while as well. It failed to hold its position above 56 cents yesterday after reaching 57, even 58 point something cents on some exchanges. And Credible Crypto went on to explain how
really that
XRP
exciting.
is quite similar to H-bar, and thus a pattern close to it might also occur where we're going to see a breakout, which is going to be pretty severe. Let's just call it like that.
Either XRP or any of them could just shoot up at any time. Bitcoin could go to 70,000. You just never know with the crypto market. Usually when it spikes up really fast, it kind of comes back down pretty quickly, back around to where it was, or at least halfway back. So usually people end up, usually people are making money, and it's a whole nother year. We got a whole nother situation to think about, you know? Anyway, let's see what else is going on. Let me see here. Ooh, Jay Bravo just put out another one.
Well, first, I would like to apologize. It's 80 degrees in Southern California, and I'm wearing a Tesla jacket. I am always cold. My hands are always cold. I don't know what is happening to me, but we are talking gold, and we are talking silver. And I know I do a little beating up on both of them, because short term, they kind of deserve a little beat up. But today, we are not talking so much about gold. We're looking at silver. Silver, the new Goldilocks. Why didn't the three bears eat Goldilocks? You can finish that joke in the comment section down below. And also on this channel, I try to be contrarian. I give you balance to everything. So when you're thinking gold's going to the moon, I'm like, well, okay, maybe it doesn't have its rocket launchers yet. Bitcoin's going to the moon. Maybe it'll pass the moon and hit the sun. That's where it's going. Well, maybe not. I always shoot myself in both feet. So in this video, I'm gonna show you some charts. I'm gonna show you some news about silver, and I'm gonna show you a bull market in silver that's gonna make you go, wow. And here's a chart. Thank you, Bloomberg. Taking a look at this, the gray. I guess he couldn't make it. Yeah, here, I'll help you. See that? I'll follow the line. That's your silver price. This has been your gold price. Yee. Not keeping up with silver, right? Right there. There he is. And I just said
He's right. Silver has gone up quite a bit. Check. I didn't know that. I didn't realize that.
But anyways, coming to you from news stories around the interwebs, because anyone can say anything they want. They can even say they're Johnny Bravo, and poof, they're Johnny Bravo. Is silver the new gold? Many analysts expect silver to outperform gold this year. It's possible, well, because it's been happening. But as the article says, it's possible, but investors should not count on improving economic conditions and industrial demand. So with all this noise, because that's what analysts are, just a bunch of noise. Let me tell you, Kathy Wood, Bitcoin and Tesla's going at least a $3 million market cap, right? Everyone knows that. Duh, why wouldn't it be? Wait, did I say million or trillion?
Fleetwood Mac.
I'll have to rewind the tape on that one. I think, right, 2 trillion, 3, just throw out a few trillions, whatever you want to be, analysts. But we know at the end of the day, we got to come look at the charts, right? We come over here, we click futures, we go silver, we go, oh, hello, silver. This is TradingView. This is the platform that I use. And I click all. And I go, well, what does this tell us? And the first thing I like to do, I always use this. Wall Street cheat sheet. You guys can use this on any asset you would like. Make it a little bigger, a little smaller, right about there. You have hope, disbelief.
Dude, he's pulled this chart up before. It looks exactly the same between here.
I kind of see a 20-year bear market coming. Just maybe. Or what you could be witnessing is an area like that. But which one in the sentiment are we in? Well, I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see. And I will say that word again, sediment. Sediment. I do it more gooder this time. And can you believe going back here, silver was at a buck? A buck something, $1. $1 in my lifetime. Before my life, yeah, $1. Don't you wish, right? Well, I guess if you have 50 years to wait, you're like, yeah, I remember. And people that remember this very clearly, they're still holding bags and they want out, or they're like, come on, give it to me. Now, pulling back a little bit on the daily, this is some things that I'm seeing. I'm seeing higher lows on this. Higher lows. I'm kind of digging what I'm seeing in that pattern. I'm also going to draw a really bad pennant for you. Ooh, that's really bad. And this little thing right here, probably this is your dang Wall Street bets. That was that. Now, is this like a shark? Oh, never mind. The technicals are showing silver as a land shark crossed between an airplane. This isn't good. But here, let me help you with this pennant. Something like that. let's hope that Shark Boy breaks that way. See, now you can go back to your friends. You're like, I follow.
All right. Well, now it's starting to get boring, but you can see how silver has spiked up quite a bit, and I did not realize how hard silver was going. Ooh, the new plague. Yes.
This episode of News Dump is brought to you by Freshly. This soon-to-be onslaught of large buzzing insects have been just sitting underneath the surface layer of the Earth, waiting until we were all ready to go out and have a great time before digging their way up, taking flight, and just screaming and fucking everywhere you look.
It's like that meme of the kid with the giant French your hair, or maybe fly into your mouth.
Ooh,
right as you're...
Wait, go back. Oh. That is just ugly. I remember those back in, it must have been 20 years ago. And, yeah. They get everywhere. They get in the airplanes, on your car. Like, they get, like, in, like that area in between, like, your back window in your car and like, the little back dash area behind the back seat where the window kind of, goes into that upholstery area. That's where they get in, that's where these bugs, and then they die and just their exoskeletons left. And like, you'll just have them back in there. You'll see a few, and then you don't want to touch it, but, Yeah, it's pretty
on you, or God
pretty
forbid, get tangled
gross.
up in your hair, or maybe fly into your mouth right as you're.
Wow, I can't believe and those. I guess those are going to be coming back soon-ish. We'll see.
I want to show people overseas about Bali, the island, the harvesting, paddy fields, cultivating the land, cows, ducks, flowing water. This is Bali.
His granddaughter set up an Instagram page to help sell his paintings online.
Hey everybody,
Although
how's it going?
he's-
Hope you're all having a
wanted to
lovely day.
see,
Today we're going to be talking about the new
what's
M1
going
MacBook.
on with the
A lot of people
M1.
asked me to discuss the new M1 MacBook, and I did a video discussing why I don't discuss the new M1 MacBook a while back. The TLDR of that is that when these machines come out, I'm a repairman. That's what I do. I work on these products at a professional level, at a repair shop. My job is fixing them. It's almost always there. I don't really know what that's going to be until the product's been out for a while, so it's not really much for me to say when they first come out. All I can really do is say that this year's computer is faster than last year's computer. A lot of people in my comment section saying, Louis, when are you going to comment on the processor of the new M1 MacBook? Prove you wrong.
That's funny.
This year's computer is faster than last year's computer. Good fucking job. All right, now let's get to the part that I actually am concerned about as someone that uses my laptop for business critical work. Let's say I'm traveling and I'm doing right to repair advocacy and I want to be able to record the hearing, meaning the machine cannot crash on me because I'm not able to tell them, hey, you know that 1 hour hearing, can you guys just redo that because my computer stopped working? Let's go over some of the fun stuff about the new M1 MacBook. And one of the first flaws with this, which is interesting, again, the more things change, the more they stay the same, is plugging stuff into it. That appears to be something that's just so difficult to figure out. So this is a video that I did about 5 years ago on the new MacBook Pro. Apple had about a $70 or an $80 dongle that at the time, before they removed the ability to review devices on their website, had about 1 star on apple.com. For those of you who go to archive.org and find the page for the dongle. So if you use a normal USB-C dongle that cost you 30 or 40 bucks, one of the things that I demonstrated in this video is that it doesn't work. I couldn't use my tool. It actually wound up freezing the machine's ability to use the internet, and I was showing that here.
Like this Madewell dongle is plugged in, it stops working. It doesn't allow you to go to any website. So the Wi-Fi stops working when you're using some of the USB-C devices. Now this is not true for all devices. So when I used a hard drive,
that happened. We had to download like a new driver for something the other day because of that.
Party dongle, and then I took that third-party dongle that everybody said you're using a broken dongle, and I plugged it into a Dell. I plugged one of those dongles into a Dell XPS 9500, and it just worked.
And as you can see, /.org loads perfect.
Yeah, it's
And the same thing.
That's because it's a software problem, not a hardware. It's like a.
It dies, and this guy was actually able to record this little clicking noise that it makes right after it dies.
Even though the battery was fully charged. When I tried to turn it back on, it just made a clicking sound. It was 9 weeks.
This is not a unique problem. As you can see, there are many people that have been reporting this on forums, on Reddit, on Apple support forums. 1 star, clicking noise. Dead M1 MacBook with USB-C multi-port adapter. Bricked M1 MacBook Air. My M1 MacBook Air USB-C hub issues. Machine died. Dead after using a multi-port hub adapter dock. Now, there was a recent update that says to the operating system that prevents it from dying when you plug it to certain third-party, non-compliant USB-C hubs and docks. I would not be surprised if these non-compliant.
It's all because they're plugging the power. They're plugging the power into the USB-C or Thunderbolt 3 port. And screwing it up.
A third-party USB-C device may work a little finicky till you plug in your third-party USB-C device. Screw you! You should have went to apple.com. The machine is dead. The ingenious engineering that must go into designing a machine that has no spinning fan, no spinning hard drive, that still clicks when it fails. Think different. And speaking of that SSD, the amount of writing that is going on these machines, so some of them have only 8 gigabytes of RAM, and one of the things that these operating systems do, which is beautiful, is if you fill up your RAM, it will use your SSD or your disk as cache. Now, back in the day, this was absolutely horrendous. If you had a hard drive that read and wrote at 40 megabytes a second, that was horrible. But now that you have drives that do 2 gigabytes a second, 2.5 gigabytes a second read and write, it's not that bad. You know, it's not the worst thing in the world if you run out of RAM like the old days. Except cases like this, where let's say you have an SSD that has a limited number of write cycles, and you have an operating system and a device that has a soldered-on solid-state drive. This is an interesting thing here from Mac Rumors showing that this one person 2 months in had 150 terabytes written to it. There's considerably more people that have been reporting this, and this is an interesting one. So it says, for instance,